Thank you, Olivia, for that reading from Genesis 12. We got through all of Genesis 13. If you caught it there, we just passed over the episode in Egypt. So we're catching up with Abraham's journeys. Now, many people see the world through filters, or actually, many people present themselves to the world through filters. And I don't just mean Snapchat and Instagram filters where you can alter ever so slightly how you look before you post to the world. Maybe you want a few less wrinkles, please, a few less wrinkles when you start. A sharper nose, a lusher beard, maybe all three. Mrs. Wright, can you do that for me? Okay.
I'll send you. I'll just put the little picture of you with the long beard.
Oh, even better. Who's that guy? Now, this is not a new thing. Actually, I was shocked to unravel my grade 12 portrait from the mail to find that they had deleted all of my zits. Hey, seems like cheating almost, but I didn't complain. Now, I'm not sure if it's a universal expectation that what we post has to be spruced up, but there are also times when the world expects you to use a filter before you present yourself. Job interviews, or good examples, you absolutely have to spruce up your image, polish your CV, wear fine clothes, almost like what you're doing right now. You might even brush your teeth, and as you should, because you want to put your best foot forward, because doing that sends a signal, a strong signal. Now, other times, you might put on a filter for someone else's good. Yeah. Parents are probably a good example of that. Though they are underappreciated, overtaxed, they swing evening and night shifts without overtime. They don't collect hazard pay. They also try to present their best filter going forward, at least when it comes to their kids asking about their past. So, Dad, let's talk about the time when you were in high school. Threw a raucous party, made your mother cut her trip to Saskatchewan short. Yeah, what about that time? Well, and here's the filter. That can be easily explained. There was a misunderstanding. Your aunt tends to exaggerate, and no one went to jail. Nothing to see here. Okay, maybe that's more of a mask than a filter. But the point remains. We tend to frame our past with rose-colored glasses. How about the Bible? Does it omit embarrassing details? What do you think? Well, you kind of really only have to get to page 3 to find out that's hardly the case. And we've come a long way since September. We're now on the shores of the patriarchs, and today's reading is full of shortcomings, mess-ups, and false starts, though it ends with a bit of boldness and courage. So this might be a perfect place for us to conclude our liturgies of the word. For today, we find Abraham between Bethel and Ai, between the house of God and ruin. He's leaving the promised land, pitching his tent between Bethel and Ai, heading down into Egypt, then circling back to that in-between place between Bethel and Ai, between the house of God and ruination. So let's just recap a little bit here what Abraham, what's going on with him. So let me ask you, what are the promises God made to Abraham when he first showed up? when Abraham really first takes stage. What promises? So do you remember? There's several possible answers.
He'll be a father.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. What else? That is part of it. Luke, what's another one?
He'll give a nation.
Very good. Nation. Maddie.
Isn't it like have more descendants and stars in the
Good. Descendants. Yeah. Very good. Now, Luke, what's tied up with? So people made the descendants, and he'll be a father. You've mentioned nation, but there's something has been said yet that's quite important. It's tied to nation, though. Yes, Maria.
The father of all nations?
No, it doesn't quite say that. Is it all the families of the earth? Or go ahead, Margaret.
The priestly nation?
That's a bit later. Yeah, that's Exodus. Yeah, so that's Exodus 19. Yeah, go ahead.
He will be blessed.
He'll be blessed. And go ahead, Stephanie. Yeah.
I was going to say a blessing.
He'll be a blessing. So he'll be a blessing to all the families of the earth. All the families of the earth will bless themselves in Abram. But there's something we haven't mentioned yet. It's really important. I mean, Luke mentioned it, but not explicitly yet.
The promised land?
Very good. The land. Now, do you remember the name? We call it the promised land because God promises it to him. But what's the name in the Bible when God first tells Abram? Like, how does he know the like GPS coordinates? How does he know where it is, or how does he know what it's called? Do you remember what God says the name of the land is? Yeah, Joshua, do you remember?
Is it the land I will show you?
Very good. Yes. So it's not a particular name yet. It's the land I will show you. Okay. Very good. And when Abraham shows up there, I'll just back up because Olivia read quite a bit of text there. What does it say? Oh, verse 7 of chapter 6. The Lord appeared to Abraham and said, to your descendants I will give this land. So Abraham built an altar there unto the Lord who had appeared to him. From there, he moved on to the country east of Bethel, pitching his tent. With Bethel in the west, Ai in the east. All right, so the Lord manifested himself to him, said, this is the land. Why does he keep going? I'm still scratching my head on this one. So I'm asking you as well. Like, he shows him this is a land, and then from there he moved on. He moves on from the hill, and he goes between Bethel and Ai. All right. I don't see any suggestions yet. Well, let me suggest this. Well, this one reflection I have is God's presence is a great grace in our lives, right? A blessing we cherish, his consolations. But him speaking to us is surely greater yet. And God speaks and says, this is the land for your descendants. So, again, why move on so soon? Perhaps, maybe he's in search of descendants. He doesn't have any descendants yet, so maybe he's going to go look for them. I don't know. Maybe he's in search of something better for himself. Maybe he's thinking, this land is for my descendants, but it's not for me, so I'm not going to stay here. Or maybe God will work through someone else to bring my descendants back to here. Maybe, but it's perplexing if you think about it a little bit. Either way, Abraham certainly hasn't left God behind. But he doesn't walk on that route laid out for him. Because what he does in verse 9, what he does, he builds an altar between Bethel and Ai after he moves on, and then he invokes the name of the Lord. After he builds that altar, he keeps moving. He goes further south to the Negev. And Negev is even further south of the land. And then if you recall, with Dr. Fawcett, where we heard, and then he goes even further south into Egypt when the famine strikes. So to me, it's like that old cartoon where the roadrunner, he runs into the house and he just keeps going right out the back door, right past his destination, and then into some sort of free fall. So this kind of what happens, and we won't revisit all the details of Egypt, but basically it's like a boomerang. So Abraham starts really high up in Haran, goes to the land the Lord shows him, and then keeps going south, 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 all the way into Egypt, and then he's returning back up here after having overshot his target. Now, we won't go through everyone's answer right now, but what are you going to do on the day after the last day of school? It's not too far away to talk about it yet. I don't think so, right? So, what will you do when school's out? I hope you have some sort of answer for it, be able to formulate something. Because if Egypt is the Bible's allegory for prison, surely school, well, maybe not for all those assembled in this fine ark here, but school in general is the students, and certainly not the teachers, but the students' best analogy for prison. Right? Its analogy is it's prison, right? That's the best analogy for school, I guess. I mean, face it, you're in prison. It's you got to be here. It's like it's the law, and you have these guards monitoring your behavior. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Saxish. And if you step out of line enough, there's the warden over there, right, and he's going to inform the authorities or your parents as to your missteps and so on. Now, it's not the perfect analogy because you actually love it here, but what are you going to do after prison? So, do you have any answers out there? What are you doing? Sleep.
Hang out with my dog.
Hang out with your dog. Nice, yeah.
Flying away.
Flying away, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Flying or fleeing? Okay. Same difference. Anything else? Izzy, what are you doing?
Like tomorrow?
The day after school, after the last day of school.
Working, hopefully.
Working.
So joining
Ooh.
a new prison.
Okay. Straight from one prison to you get paid. So there's
I want an upgrade.
that's different perks. This is like you're in a halfway house or something.
Out of the fire into the frying pan.
Yes, I suppose. Yeah. And anything else?
Gardening.
What's that?
Gardening.
Gardening. That's a good one.
Being outdoors.
Being outdoors.
Relaxing.
Relaxing.
Working on our capstones.
Working on capstones. Yes. There you go. Or how about
Lower level prison.
no one mentioned this, but summer school.
No.
Like get right back in there, of course, right? I mean, cruel guard that I am. I've taught summer school. I think most of the past 15 years. Get to avoid that one. That sentence this summer, but when it's over, or when this is over, this school year, I know you're going to give thanks to God. Surely. And in some places they actually have different rituals. At least in the olden days, long ago in Ireland, and some still today, graduates after getting out of high school, they make a pilgrimage to this place called St. Patrick's Purgatory, and there you stay awake for 3 biblical days on this small island in prayer and in fasting. It's beautifully daunting and grace-filled, and you have to keep moving just to stay awake. And you pray. And there you call on the name of the Lord. Well, Abram, he's on pilgrimage. He goes. And after he gets out of Egypt, what does he do? He heads right back up the Negev with Lot with him. And he has now his riches, the livestock, silver, gold. And then he travels. Does anyone remember where does he come to a stop when he's going back up north? Where does he stop? So he goes out of Egypt, back through the Negev, and then up between. There's a lot of towns that we mentioned, but it's It's close to the promised land. It's not, he doesn't go back to the promised land. He goes next door to it, between Bethel and Ai. That's where he ends up coming back. So it's not quite the promised land, but next door to it, and there he's calling on the name of the Lord. And in these texts that we're reading, the Bible just drops the name Bethel on us. There isn't a backstory about that city. And like Abraham, perhaps none is needed. But I venture a guess, you know what Bethel is. Maybe you can even guess.
It's a bus
Beth-
station.
Right, there's the Bethel. Yeah, here in Campbelltown, sure. I'll say the name maybe slower, and you might be able to guess what it is. Beth-El. What's that? Well, it's lechem is the word. It's for bread, but this is Beth. How about this? On near our basilica, if you go just a little further. Oh, Margaret, you got it, yeah.
Tower of God.
Very close. Yeah, very close. House. So if you go to Beth Shalom Synagogue, which is just next to St. Joseph's Basilica, it's Beth Shalom means house of peace. So, but this is Beth El. El is short for what? Yeah, El, Elohim. Very good. So you knew that. And that's where it is. And it's the opposite of Babel, right? And Enoch, where people call out their own name. Their own names, and they want the world to take notice of me, myself, and my name. right? And fittingly, so there's Bethel on his east, and to the other side to the west is Ai. Now, Ai is a deliciously rich term. It means ruin, or ruination. Sometimes it's translated as heaps of ruin, and it's actually spelt AI. So we don't have time to go through all that we could go with this, but so that's where Abraham first sets up his altar. He's in the infancy of his faith, and you have this, and he begins to then call on the Lord's name. And you're going to be wondering, we had that beautiful song this morning, "Come As You Are," right? O wanderer, come home, right? But you got to wonder, what was Abraham singing, right? When he's calling on the name of the Lord, what do you guys have any ideas what songs he was singing? Well, after much reflection, I think he was singing "Heart of Gold" by Neil Young. You guys know "Heart of Gold"? Yeah, it's a good hippie song. And he speaks of a miner, right? He says, "I'm a miner for a heart of gold." He's searching for this heart of gold, and what does he say?
Mr. Sanks was trying all he can. Right?
Yeah.
We need to know what the song is.
Yeah.
And I'm getting old. I'm searching for a heart of gold.
And I'm getting old.
Yeah. And
And
you get yeah. Well, that hippie song speaks about a very uncertain present. It speaks of a wanderer with a hazy sense of a better future. He's been to Hollywood, he's been to Redwood, he's been across the ocean, but he can't find his rest. And in one way of reading that song, it's a direly sad song because the present is futile. His past labors yield no tangible fruit in the present. Life doesn't seem adequate. It's permeated by a series of misses. Is that something you can identify with? No? Okay. All right, so how about Abram? What did he miss? Well, Did he find that promised land, the land he was promised? He's laden with gold and cattle, all these earthly things, but he's still missing the big picture of those promises. And then after this bit, after he settles there in between Bethel and Ruin, this argument breaks out. Do you remember the argument between Abram and Lot? Okay, you remember it? Yeah? What's the argument?
There are too many possessions and not enough land.
Yeah, and so their herdsmen are like fighting, like who gets the pasture, who gets the water, and so forth. Okay, good. Which is a worldly thing to do. But Abraham is wise enough to say, let's not actually shed blood over this, because the Canaanites and Perizzites are actually watching us. So if we are the people of the promise, we should probably witness to the Lord's name we're calling on. So what's Abraham's solution? Do you remember his solution? Yeah, go ahead, Mark. Oh, sorry. Okay, go ahead, and then we'll get Izzy. Yeah.
Just send Lot away.
Close. They do separate, but what's the solution? Do you remember? Okay, Izzy, you remember the solution?
He's like, if you go east, I'll go west or something. So they go opposite ways from each other.
Okay, so basically he says this. Yeah, if you prefer the left, I'm going to right. If you want the right, I'm going left. He says, Lot, you decide. Now, they're right next to the promised land. So this is like being back in the Stanley Cup Finals. Imagine that, right? You're right back to where you wanted to be. Right at the doorstep of the promised land. And it's as if Abram is saying, I don't really care who wins. I could take the promised land. I could leave it. As readers, we're like, Abram, at least ask for a coin toss. At least best out of 3, rock, paper, scissors. But no, he doesn't even engage in any type of competition. He's like, Lot, I'll let you decide. I'm going to quietly stand in the corner as this all goes down. So, do you recall what Lot does? It says here, Lot, he lifted his eyes and saw how well watered the whole Jordan plain was, like the Lord's own garden. Yes. And so Lot lifts his eyes up, much like Eve, to the tree. It's like we're in Eden again. In fact, this is the first time since Genesis 3 that the word garden has been mentioned. And then the Bible tells us Lot took for himself the whole plain of the Jordan. So not half, not 3/4, but all of it. And he's not even sharing some of it. Okay, so, and that term took is only used twice in the book of Genesis. Here, with Lot taking it for himself, and with the sons of God who take for themselves the daughters of man, producing the Nephilim, which, as noted, we could read that as a demonic attempt to pry open the back door to Eden by infusing immortality into our genome. Not unlike Nietzsche, Sidigalov, Achilles et al., how they once aspired to this. And I'm sure that group they won't be the last to aspire to that. So those forces of opposition against God, which the apostle tells us in Ephesians, include the rulers and principalities of the heavenly realms. Well, those in opposition to God must have been drooling at this moment, since Abram can't seem to make a play to save his life. While Lot, who seems to hang like this albatross around Abram's neck, gleefully and greedily snatches the promises and taking what he sees as good for himself. So at this juncture, it's like God's plans seem to hang in the balance, and this is not a rose-colored story for Abram. And just in case you thought otherwise, the Bible subtly mentions Sodom and Gomorrah, those cities that are later destroyed. Now, all right, I think you know when you hear, well, at least when you hear Sodom and Gomorrah, you think you know what that episode is all about. But I think the Bible is stranger than might think, yet arrestingly stranger. And what actually goes on in Sodom and Gomorrah? Oh wait, this isn't a kid's show. You're not supposed to conceptualize that scene, right? Well, the men in the town certainly think they can conceptualize divinity. And let me save your fertile imaginations with a quick recap. Angels show up. As night falls, the men of the town attempt to take them by force and have sexual relations with them. It's the Nephilim episode in reverse. The men want to force themselves on the angels. They want to inject immortality into their lineage. Now, don't ask me how that works. I just teach literature. Ask your biology teacher. Oh wait, we said not to conceptualize this scene. Never mind. In any case.
It might be temporary.
Okay, yes, that's out. So, the result is the mirror of the flood. Right? Instead of the cleansing rains, it's the, what is it? What falls?
Fire.
Yes, the fire. The fire. And so that is how it is. All right. So, where does that leave Abram? Or better yet, how about us? Where does that leave us? Leaves us with a challenge, with a new call. Abram, he had a rough year. Forget about rosing up his past. His report card is mixed. Yes. Too much AI, right? And too much time in Egypt. Right. But God doesn't leave him to flounder. He wants him to be bold. And that's how Genesis 13 ends. After Abram gives it all away to Lot, and that'll have to be resolved at a different time and later place. But after he gives it all to Lot, he still calls him to look to the north, south, east, and west, and walk through the land, despite all his enemies around him, to stand tall and strong in confidence. So, despite overshooting and then circling back and messing it all up, God calls him. Go and walk before me. And Abram picks up his tent and goes. So, as we leave this ark, as we go, as St. Paul says in Ephesians 3, with boldness, having access in confidence to Christ, we walk before the Lord. And so, in the fullness of time, the plan is fulfilled where the tent of God ends up dwelling. Christ builds his house in us. And so as we go forth, as your homework, we might say, for the summer, read through Ephesians 3. Read through Ephesians 4, where you can see Abraham rejoiced to see the day when he saw Christ. This is the new house, the new tent, which is going to be built in us. So let's take a moment now to I invite you to close your eyes and just imagine it's the day after the last day of school. What is God calling you to? I want you to see yourself, whatever you're shown, to go with boldness, having confidence in Christ, not settling for life between Bethel and Ai, but dwelling in Bethel itself, that house on high.